I've been meaning to do a review of these guys. Um, Ghost Max 1 from Brooks. This colorway right here, I think it was highly slept on. You gotta, check it out. I don't even know if these are available anymore, but straight fire. What's up, everybody? Jake from Tech Packs. So I wanted to shoot a bio episode just about myself. Try to set some stage, some context for all the stuff that I'm doing here. I wanted to get this episode like kind of one and done, and every time I shot it, it just seemed to get longer and longer. I shot it 3 times, tried to tell the same story 3 times, tried to shorten it up, and felt like every time I did it, I came across the finish line in the same amount of time. Anyway, 50 some minutes is a long episode, so I figured I'd split it into a part one and a part two. Part one's kind of, growing up to high school. Part two is probably going to be the college, BYU years. And so had to split it. I just felt like no one wants to listen to me talk about myself for that long. It just feels awkward anyway. So figured I'd split it enough, and then people can decide which part they want to listen to or both. But at least give it, let it be a shorter chunk. But anyway, if you do part one, it's kind of early days, kind of coming up from a small town, humble beginnings, and how I kind of noticed some things inside myself that led down to the design path. And then I would say part two is when I kind of ease into community college, and then kind of find my way there into footwear. So check it out. Hopefully I can get it split kind of right down the middle. Should be pretty good. So again, thanks for coming. None of this is wasted on me. I can't believe anyone wants to listen to this, but I think it's just going to keep getting better and better as I do it more. And hopefully we can get a legit good footwear podcast out there in the world, talking high level about shoes, design world, how to design and all that great stuff. Anyway, so without further ado, enjoy this 2-part series on myself, my own biography. I promise you it's not like self-aggrandizing. It's not about that. It's about hopefully everyone's seeing themselves in part of the path, and how like it doesn't matter where you come from, you can seize moments, opportunities to become whatever you want to become. It's kind of the story I'm trying to tell. So anyway, check it out. Let's go. Thanks. What's up, everybody? Tech Packs to Do podcast. Just want to jump in. Thanks again for all the views. Thanks for the shout out, the people who watched the Asia travel episode. I am still, I think, a little under the weather from coming back, but I am still going to record this podcast. I will not stop. This is important to me. I think it's awesome. It's fun. And I just love sharing information. So I'm here. We are moving forward, even though I might be a little off. So if this podcast is not up to standard, it's okay. We'll have Colin back next time. Him and I are going to kick it around the last 2 episodes, talk about whatever it is that he thought was interesting about the 2 episodes. If there is anything, I'm sure we'll find something. I think we're going to start a new thing called, shoes that we think are cool. We're going to hold up stuff and talk about it. Different products that we're seeing around that are, pretty cool. Anyway, this episode, I wanted it to be loosely called like a biography, which is kind of funny. Like it's the bio episode where I'm just going to run through like who I am, what I'm doing here, and the kind of path that I've kind of gone to get to where I am today. I don't know if a lot of people talk about this or if they even care, but I find it interesting to review the past sometimes, and not all the time, like not get deep into it all the time, but just to kind of get in, and look back in the past and see steps and things that have led to who you are today. Um, Certainly, there's heartache. Certainly, there's things you learn about yourself that you just kind of experience as you grow up, get older, which are the same thing. I don't know if I'm saying that, but as you age, gain more experience, you learn things about yourself. Is what I'm saying. Um, but to just kind of kick it off, I think a large part of my backstory is kind of like, I don't know what it is about the way I tick or whatever, but largely speaking, like I think I operate pretty well when there's a chip on my shoulder, like, and I'll kind of like dive into why that is. I'm from a small town in Virginia called Winchester, and we, there's not a lot coming out of Winchester, right? And I'm not trying to say that to slight the town. I love being from there. I love going there. I think it's a great place. It's considered the South, but it's not really the South because it's northern. Like, um, it's like heralded as the town that changed the sides most times in the Civil War. Whatever that doesn't, I don't care, but that's whatever. But there was a certain flair of charm and like history that came from living there, which is all cool. But safe to say, smaller town. Our football team, I think in my high school career, won like 4 games or something crazy like that. Like, um, just just not. I wouldn't say like you would come to Winchester thinking like I'm going to find a footwear designer here. Um, but that is the case, right? Like, um, so yeah, growing up, I would say like I was always like interested in art, always interested in, um, I wasn't like the guy who wanted to do the most work. Like in school, I kind of thought it was all phony, like I kind of grew up questioning like, why am I doing all this? Like, is this going to matter? Like my dad's an electrician. He doesn't do algebra. Like, like I don't know if I need to know how to, I don't know if I need to be in band to be successful in my future endeavors. Like, I don't know if I need to know physics at the highest level to be successful in a career. And with that kind of thinking, like I just did not do like any of the honors things or any of those like high school classes. And I'm not like discouraging them, um, because later in life I realized like I hadn't really learned anything, but I feel like there's a reason for that, and the reason is like I wasn't particularly ready to learn the way a student should learn, right? Like I think there's a hunger for knowledge that comes with a certain level of maturity. I'm sure some of my friends made that way before me, which is probably why they took the honors classes. But for me, it just felt like I didn't want to work that hard when it felt like there's only 2 diplomas, right? There's like a standard diploma and an advanced diploma. Advanced diploma, all it meant was like you got more A's than B's. And the other diploma, it was like you made it. And I didn't think anyone was like rolling down the list of like, um, you know, students and looking at like this and saying, who did honors and who did not. And maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I thought, well, if I just get good grades, I can go to college like any of my other friends, and get the same degree. Like at the end of the day, like what does a high school mean? Like what are we doing here? Um, so needless to say, I tried my best to um, take as easy of courses as I could. And I did do that. And again, I aced them. I ended up graduating like, I want to say like top 50 or top 60 in my class of like 200 kids or something like that. Right alongside the honor students. I wore like the same like honor society National Honor Society, like whatever thing, like Shaw, whatever it is. Um, like when I graduated, and it was just like this is like so funny that like I look like everybody else, but I didn't do half the work. Um, and and I would say like that came back to haunt me a little bit because I had to do some like um kind of not not reform, but like I kind of got bookend into like doing community college because I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I thought, oh, I might as well start getting some college credits. So I went to the local community college and started studying things. Um, Again, it was more of those general things where I'm like taking easy courses to get good grades. Um, Not really knowing what I wanted to do. In high school, I did also like take all the art I could take, and then like it was my senior year, and I'm like, well, I don't want to not take some kind of art class, and I got special permission from the school board, that oh he can take another art class, he can be in his own little art studio type of a thing, which was cool, but they had to go to bat for me because yeah, I guess I was doing well in art, painting, and all that stuff. And fine arts is really my thing, and I would say I was like pretty successful in that. So long-winded way of saying like I don't I don't know if I looked at life normally like most people look at it. And I would see my dad go to work every day early in the morning and come back in the early afternoon. He was he still gets up, with the sun every day and goes to work. And it's like I always kind of looked at that and I'm like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. Like I hardly can stand getting up early now. Um, I don't know if that's something I'm going to want to do in a um, work scenario when I get older for money. And really, it was just like kind of a question mark as to like what am I going to do um, after high school, in college? Like, what is this even about? And I didn't even know if I was going to go to college, if I was going to end up being. It just never like dawned on me what the future should be. So yeah, like so that's kind of like the Virginia part of my life. Kind of in a nutshell is like um, great place to grow up. Um, was with my family all the time. Um, had great experiences, had good friends, but ultimately I would say like not knowing how much I needed to get out in order to expand those horizons. Um, and I would say like it wasn't until I decided to serve a full-time 2-year proselyting mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints where I thought like where I first started to meet people outside of my own sphere, like that I realized that there is more, I'd say, to life um, than what I grew up with. I met some people who were incredible people who were doing incredible things um, on a worldwide kind of situation. And I think I was only used to seeing people succeed in my community. And then to see people like leave, kind of break the barrier, go around the country and then around the world is when I was like, I guess there's more to life than just where I grew up. And, kind of a light bulb going off in sort of a way. The mission was awesome, changed my life. So I came back, ready to go, ready to start kind of tackling what's the next chapter. Doubled down on community college because it was cheap and it was easy. But I didn't know what kind of career that was going to lead to. And so, I met with a bishop, kind of like a clergy leader, but he was a good friend of my family, of me. And he was a chemical engineer. He made a lot of money, Like his house is huge, and I'm sure it is now even. But that uh, just didn't like knowing what I just said about my past, like how lackadaisical I kind of was in high school, like getting the grades but not, you know, pushing myself. I mean, for example, right? Like I didn't like I read the same book every year for book reports. Like I didn't like go out of my way. Like I found a book that I liked and I just reread the same book like every year. And so like it's not it's I'm just trying to say like the effort is different. Like and so chemical engineer, I don't think that was ever in the cards, right? Uh at least you wouldn't think like chemical engineer when you looked at me, right? And certainly like no one was telling me to do that. Except for this guy. He's like, oh, you know, he showed me the course load, and I looked at that, and I was like, man, I don't even know how to pronounce some of the classes I'd be taking, and so that's just like that's not me. That's not what I'm gonna. That's I was like, yeah, sure, and so I kind of went with it a little bit, because I think from time to time I'm more of a pacifier than anything, and so I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like we'll look into it right now, and I remember the first time I applied to BYU, didn't get in. There's just things I didn't know like process wise that happens in college. They wanted me to have 40 credit hours at least at community college, so I applied with like I don't know, I want to say like 28 or something like that, and um, you know, it was actually pretty cool. Is BYU, the admissions office, the actual like admissions staff, like actually called me to say, "Hey, you're on the right track. We want you here. All you have to do is complete some more classes. We'll accept you like on the spot." And I was like, that's cool. Then I'd also applied to like Ohio State for whatever reason, and I got into that, and I was like, Ohio State just accepted me, but then I saw tuition was like $100 million a semester, and I was out of state, and I was like, that's not going to happen. And um, I also applied to some local places, and then yeah, it was like I was on that course where I was like, okay, I just got to hit that 40 credit hours. Again, and then the point at which things kind of switched for me was when my dad had a friend of the family. He'd gone over to his house and he had seen like this room full of product, like toys, and there were these like big giant posters and like of like drawings and renderings of product. And he was like, "Hey, I just met this guy. He is an incredible artist. Like he didn't even know it was design. Like my dad didn't know. Like we didn't know. Like no one knows. I mean, people hardly know what industrial design is today. Um, and so he's like, "Hey, you should check this guy out." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, cool." And so he comes over one day and he shows up with like almost like a briefcase, like a big giant portfolio bag, and something that you'd only see like if you've gone to like Hobby Lobby or an arts studio store or whatever, and you get a big portfolio. Like these are like the ones for people who are like carrying their work around. Um, and he opened it up, and he had these giant like sand buggy, like dirt bikes, go-kart renderings, motorcycles. He had, you know, magazines of designs, like he had like a like mounted picture of his design, and then the magazine that had the design like on the cover. Um, and he had like, you know, renderings of like play school toys that he had designed and that then were made into actual toys. And he had those like side by side, and like he was flipping through page after page. And I'm just looking at this like he drew something and then a company made it. And that to me just like connected the dots of like, okay, art, mural in high school, I sketched all the time, drew all the time, fine arts. I was doing it in community college. I was studying art, had a great professor there. She was really pushing me to do really creative things. It was jiving. And then I saw the dollar signs on the other side. And I was like, okay, if I put this and this together, like maybe there's a future for me that is bright. Um, and so from that point on, I was hooked. He said, I went to Art Center. It's kind of expensive. It's on the other side of the country. You'd probably be in debt for a long time. I don't know if he was still in debt, but he was kind of pushing me like, hey, um, BYU actually has a great program. You should consider applying to that and, going there. And I said, yeah, sure. That sounds awesome. So I was busy like putting together my portfolio, using all my fine art stuff. Um, and I'm shooting off an application to BYU to get in, and I'm shooting an application to the industrial design program. And after I'd gotten the 40 hours, put all those credits down, sure enough, like BYU let me in. And I was like, this was the first time I think in my life where I had to make like, I think the first giant decision. Like you would think like a mission in serving for 2 years, like basically preaching like for like trying to find people to teach and convert would be like a hard decision to make, to kind of dedicate 2 years. But for some reason, like leaving home, leaving people that I loved and cared about in Virginia that were genuine, like this is my people. Leaving there and going out west just felt like a giant mistake, right? Something that would, like, I would let a lot of people down for some reason. And it was at that point that I look back and I say, you had anxiety, my friend. Like you probably suffered from anxiety and depression. Like, so that weaves its way into my story as well. Like, I can honestly say that like I have had bouts of those things, and literally like I, if that's something that anyone in my audience is facing, like find out how to get help. Find out, like, I didn't mean for this to turn into like an advocacy type of podcast, but the situation is like anxiety is awful. I got medicated for a while. And I still like am on and off to make sure I like maintain like not sanity, but like, like I stay stay true. Things don't get overwhelming in my life. But back then didn't exactly know what all that was. I just knew that I was deathly afraid, flight or fight, like kind of afraid of taking a jump to BYU. I wanted to go there because I really liked a girl and she was there as well. So it was like this whole thing kind of lining up. Like she was there, BYU was there, and industrial design was there, a great group of friends that I could possibly meet. All had the same values as me. So it was like all kind of lining up in that sense. But like I just, man, it was like pulling the trigger on that was really tough. And so actually it was in community college. I had a professor saying like, hey, like you only have this many credit hours to finish your associates. And I'm like, look, it doesn't matter anymore. Like I got into BYU. Who cares about this associate stuff? I'm going to go get a 4-year degree. Doesn't matter. So it's like, I was already trying to like shed that, but like that was starting, like that was feeling awful as well. But I was like, no, like this is what I'm going to do. Like as awful as it felt. And it wasn't like I was trying to make this decision, and I don't know how long it truly was. Like, could have been a couple weeks, could have been a couple days. But I had a really fun friend in a pottery class I was taking. One of the last classes I taught or took in community college was a pottery class. And truth be told, it was me and like some 18, 19-year-old girl, maybe she was older, me, her, and probably like 10 moms who just wanted to do a night pottery class at the community college. And it was crazy. One of the teacher, like the professor, was actually like shocked when I walked through the door. Is like, oh, this is someone who actually wants to like make legit pottery. And I'm like, yes, like that is what I'm here to do. I'm not here to like make a clown. Like I want to make some like cool stuff. I want to make product, like, so she really got into it, teaching me like slab stuff and, how to like make real vessels that I could use. And I've got some pretty cool ones back at home, but, so I'm sitting there in that class and, it's getting time to make this decision. And I tell the girl who's sitting next to me, her name's Laurel. I'll never forget this. We had a great time in that class. And so we were just like hanging out, we're talking, we're making stuff and just laughing about whatever. And, I kind of tell her my situation, like, hey, BYU industrial design. I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I don't know if I want to stay here or go out there. And she looks at me and she's like, man, I don't know why this is a hard decision for you. She's like, I would choose this 100 times. I would take it in a heartbeat. She's like, I'm never going to get out of here. Like, I'm stuck she's from a super small town. Like, if I'm from a small town, she's from like the woods. She's basically saying like, look, I am never going to have this opportunity. If I had this opportunity, I would take it. I wouldn't even question it. I would just go. And it just like hit me to the heart. And other people had said similar things. Like my friend Kyle had actually been to BYU. He was kind of on a little break. He was trying to figure some things out in his life. But he was like, dude, BYU is so cool. Like you love it. Like just do it, go. His mom was even like, look, if BYU lets you in, it means you're supposed to go. Like they don't make mistakes. Like they let people in who they know. Like they pray over it. They want people in. They read your file. They really care. And I'm like, okay, I got it. But for some reason, like the situation of her, like, living in, not, I wouldn't say poverty. Like she had like a decent living, but if you're from Virginia, if you're from West Virginia, you kind of understand it a little bit. Like there's not a lot of money, right? Like this might not be middle class. This might be lower class. Right. And, hearing her say that, learning that, my father didn't come from much. He worked his way to where he is today. I admire that. And now I think I just felt like this is the chance to like kind of move in my own life. And that's kind of like the catalyst, I'd say, in my life for where I am today. I don't think I get here if I stay close. I don't think I get to this point if I don't take that leap. And I think a lot of times like life is about just jumping. And I can tell you that's like literally the jump. Like, I went back home, jumped on the computer, just closed my eyes literally and just like clicked yes, I accept. My brother had just went, but he's, he knows what he wants and he goes and gets it. So he had already left to BYU. Like he was already there. He'd started in a summer semester. He was having a blast. He was like, hey man, you got to come out here. There's all these cool people. I'm like, all right, I'm coming. And literally like I went to the apartment complex that he was staying at. And I just signed a contract. I didn't even think about it. Paid a deposit. Just boom, boom, boom. Got a plane ticket. I'm set. Here I'm going.